Welcome to Judge of Ghana TV. Akwa Baba, Judge of Ghana TV. So
I said that any idiot can take you to court.
Okay.
But it is the judges who will decide whether the case is sensible or not.
in today's episode of Judge of Ghana TV, it's all about Muslim versus Wesley Girls Senior High School. And the reason why I'm taking a deep dive into this issue is I have a lot to say about it. And if I want to just summarize how I feel about this case, I will say that the system is not broken. So why file a case in court as though the system is broken? Everything is working fine. Christians, who are the majority in Ghana, are working and living in harmony with Muslims, who are the minority. Ghana is predominantly a Christian country. Over 70% are Christians, and the rest are Muslims and other faiths. So why are the Muslims undertaking this? It doesn't make any sense to me. I believe it is morally wrong, spiritually wrong, emotionally wrong, and physically wrong. And it can lead to so many issues because I believe that this case is not using balanced scales. They're using unbalanced scales. I will explain. So stick around and let's go through this. I want to show you something that J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States of America, said recently. He was speaking to some university students in Mississippi, University of Mississippi. And that was, I think, in October 2025. He was speaking to a bunch of students at the University of Mississippi, and he said something about human rights. And I believe it is pertinent to this conversation regarding this Wesley Girls faith battle. Take a listen and watch this.
Assumption based on the question is that you're skeptical of Christianity, or at least of certain public professions of Christianity. One of my favorite Bible verses is, "By your fruits ye shall know them." And I think that the fruits of the Christian faith are the most moral, the most just, and the most prosperous civilization in history. I make no apologies for believing that Christianity is the pathway to God. I make no apologies for thinking that Christian values are an important foundation of this country, but I'm not going to force you to believe in anything, because that's not what God wants, and that's not what I want either. Freedom of religion is actually a Christian concept. And the reason it's a Christian concept is very simple. Because Christianity, Imago Dei, the idea that we are all made in the image of our Creator, means that we must respect the free will of every single person. Now, part of that is you have a conversation with people. Having free will doesn't mean that you're not allowed to encourage somebody, that you're not allowed to talk to somebody about your faith, that you're not allowed to talk about certain values in school. When our founders talked about freedom of religion, they didn't mean you weren't allowed to say a Christian prayer in a public school, or that you weren't allowed to talk about Jesus Christ in a public forum. They just meant that nobody could force you to profess the Christian faith. That had to come from your own free will. And I believe that, and I think every Christian who I've ever spoken to believes that the source is the Christian, the source of your faith, the Christian understanding must be your own free will. But here,
Did you see? Did you hear? Basically, J.D. Vance was saying that Christianity stands for religious freedom. Religious freedom. And they are the pioneers of religious freedom. If you look at history, he said many things. But first of all, what he said that was pertinent, and I'd like to talk about it, is that he said, even the abolition of slavery, it took a Christian country in the British to abolish slavery. So he said Christianity is fundamental to human rights. So this case that the Muslims have brought against Wesley Girls Senior High School is based on human rights. But I think you can have a level of human rights that actually infringes on another's human rights. Because if you look at the details of this case, I am saying that the Muslims are infringing on the human rights of Christian mission schools. They are infringing. If they didn't have a choice, because there are so many government-assisted Muslim schools in Ghana, if you don't like the spiritual atmosphere, the emotional atmosphere, the teaching atmosphere of Wesley Girls Senior High School, why would you send your daughter there if you're a Muslim? It is implied. I'm a procurement expert. And in procurement, when you're procuring products and services, it is implied in the contracts. If you decide as a parent to send your ward to Wesley Girls Senior High School, knowing that it is a Christian mission school, it is implied that you agree that your ward will engage in all things Christian that concerns the school. Likewise, if you send your ward, your daughter, we're talking about girls this time, to a Muslim senior high school in Ghana, which is also government assisted. As a Christian, if you send your child there, you are expecting that the child will be taught in the ways of the Muslim faith. So it's the parents' choice. The parents choose for the child. So please, if you're a Muslim and you've sent your child to a Christian school and they're saying the child should engage in only Christian activities, you made that choice at the point of procuring that service, that schooling service. If you're not happy, there's something called removing your ward from the school and finding a new school for the ward to go to. It is done every day. If you're not satisfied, you can basically make a new decision and move the case forward. I would like you to help us grow this channel by liking, sharing, subscribe, and press that notification bell so that we can notify you of new content. Let's first break down this session into several parts. First, I want to go into a summary of the legal issues, arguments. And then after that, I want to do a comparison of Ghana, which is a predominantly Christian country, and Saudi Arabia, which is a predominantly Muslim or Islamic country. So we will look at how their system works when it comes to schooling. And then I would like to say that the minority, which are the Muslims in Ghana, cannot and should not try to come and force the majority to conform to their will. No, it doesn't work that way. Rather, the majority rules. Even in elections, it is majority vote that makes a man ascend or a woman ascend to the presidency of Ghana. It is not forcing a minority, forcing the majority to toe a certain line. And I think that is wrong. So let's start first with the legal arena, constitutional clash. Shafiq Osman's legal team, including member Hamza Suhuni, I believe Hamza Suhuni is a member of parliament, insists this case isn't about Christianity versus Islam. They frame it as a fundamental test of constitutional rights versus institutional traditions. The argument centers on Article 21(1)(c) and 56 of Ghana's 1992 Constitution, which guarantee freedom of religious practice and prohibits the establishment of compulsory religious programs. They contend that in a government-assisted school where teachers' salaries are paid from the national treasury, the constitutional rights of students cannot be suspended at the school gate. That is the argument of the Muslims. They found a powerful precedent in the 2021 Achimota School hair case. In that landmark ruling, the High Court declared that institutional rules cannot override fundamental human rights. The plaintiffs argue Wesley Girls is now defending the indefensible from the same losing position Achimota once occupied. I don't think this is a fair point, in my opinion. And the reason why I'm saying this is, no Christian who has taken their child to a Muslim school has bothered or is even interested in taking the Muslim school to court to come up with a similar argument. And the question is, why haven't Christians done that? Because Christians have decided that they want their children to go to Christian schools. And those who want them to go to Muslim school are happy for their children to be fully ingratiated into all the Muslim programs in the school. And I don't think, I've got an article that I'll read, but I don't think, in my opinion, that Muslim schools will allow the Muslim doctrine and teachings diluted by Christian ways and Christian worship and Christian prayer. They will not allow it. So the question is that if what is good for the goose isn't good for the gander, so what you can't do in a Muslim school, now this court case is trying to do to a Christian school. Why? If you're not trying to cause mayhem and cause conflict between Christians and Muslims who are living in harmony in Ghana, why would you bring such a case? If the boot was on the other foot and a Christian had brought a case, the same case, against a Muslim school, do you think, how would the Muslims be acting by now? They'll probably be on the streets, carrying sticks and shouting. And you think Christians, who are the majority in this country, who have given you religious freedom because they have allowed you to practice your religion and they've allowed you to set up your schools so that your children can be sent to those schools and be taught in the ways of Islam. That is what Christians do. We don't force people If you go to a country like Saudi Arabia, they force everybody to be Muslim. And if they catch you doing anything else, then the law will deal with you in a very horrible way. But in Ghana, it's not like that. You're free to express yourself, whatever your religion may be. But when it comes to school, the school has a modus operandi. They have a way of doing stuff. They have underline what makes a school. It's like a business. What makes a school special is the way they do things. And Christianity in a mission school is what makes the school special. It makes the school, it makes people see the school as the way they do things. And that is what people admire. Kindly go to www.kofi.com/coachra. Download these 2 free ebooks. The first ebook is on 365 days of leadership daily devotional. And the other book is on corruption. Corruption in the 54 countries of Africa. Why did you, as a Muslim, decide to send your child to Wesley Girls High School? Because you heard of the culture, the corporate culture, the culture of the school, which includes the Christianity elements. The singing of hymns, the praying, everything, the studying, the going to church, and all the engaging in worship. You heard of it, and it attracted you to send your daughter to that school. And now you turn around and bring a case, which I don't think is a good idea. If only Ghanaians want harmony between the different religions, Christianity and Islam in Ghana, then this case should be thrown out. It should be thrown out, in my opinion. The defense, protecting ethos and identity. The school's defenders, including the Attorney General, Dominic Ayini, argue that Wesley Girls, established and operated under the Methodist Church, is entitled to maintain rules consistent with its Methodist heritage and doctrines. Likewise, Islamic schools operating under the Islamic Muslim rules, Muslim doctrine, are entitled to maintain rules consistent with their Muslim religion and doctrines. What is good for the goose is good for the gander when it comes to schooling. There is no way Christians in Ghana are preventing Muslims from practicing their religion. They are just saying that practice it in your schools. And we Christians will practice it in our Christian schools. What is wrong with that? Do Christians go to mosques and do Christian worship in mosques? Or when they go to mosques, they follow the dictates of the Muslims? Likewise, when a Muslim goes to a church, a Christian church, what do? They do the dictates of the Christian church. That's how we are able to live in harmony in this country. Let's not endanger the harmony of Ghana through frivolous cases. I consider this case a frivolous case, and it's going to cause more harm than good. And to be honest, if the Supreme Court judges side with the Muslims, I am sorry. My advice to the Christian mission school is tell the government to take their funding, and Christians will fund their own schools so that nobody can come and tell them what to do in their schools. If because of the little money you are assisting Christians with, so you feel that you can tell them what to do and bully them basically into submission to something that doesn't make any sense and will cause more harm than good, then that is what should happen. They maintain that mission schools possess an incontrovertible right to set rules on uniforms, observances, and operational matters consistent with their foundational mission. This right, they argue, is itself protected under Ghana's constitution as freedom of religion and association. Do you hear that? The mission school have a right, incontrovertible. That means incontrovertible means that you cannot change it. It's an unchangeable right, which is enshrined in the law. It is enshrined in the Constitution of Ghana as freedom of religion and association. Look, if you are a Muslim and you're not happy for your child to indulge in Christian practices, don't send them to a Christian school. Simple. Send them to a Muslim school. There are many of them. I'll go through a list of Muslim schools as I go through this episode. A crucial aspect of their defense revolves around informed choice. Parents and students voluntarily select Wesley Girls, knowing its Methodist character, thereby tacitly agreeing to abide by its religious environment. The court of public opinion, a nation divided, national rights camp. This group frames the issue as a matter of fundamental human rights that cannot be compromised. They ask a provocative question: can a school, once a magnificent oak planted by a missionary hand, continue to dictate sectarian weather once its roots are fully watered by the national treasury? To me, this question is a wholly unbalanced, inappropriate question, because there are Muslim schools which are planted by Islamic hands that continue to dictate sectarian weather once its roots are fully watered by the national kitty. So what's the point of this case again? If your Muslim schools are doing the same things that you are complaining about, that Christian schools are doing, I mean, what is the case? Everybody is doing their own. What is the problem? There shouldn't be any problem. They point to successful examples of religious accommodation, noting that Presbyterian's Boys Secondary School, Presec Legon, another Christian institution, has provided a mosque for its Muslim students and allows observance of their faith. Similarly, Pope John Senior High School allows Muslim students to fast and pray without restriction. If these schools can maintain their Christian identity while respecting religious freedom, why can't Wesley Girls? Well, the same goes for the other Muslim schools who are fully Muslim in everything they do. Why can't they accommodate Christian religious freedom too? They're not doing it. So if Wesley Girls are not doing it, what's the problem? Is it not the same thing the Muslims are doing in their schools in Ghana? What is the problem? What is good for the goose is good for the gander. Let's stop this. The system is not broken. There's nothing happening. Let's don't stir a certain fire that becomes something else, because we are the majority. Christians are the majority in Ghana. And if you think that you can come and force things down our necks, then we shall revolt. We Christians shall revolt, because we're not going to stand for this. We're not going to stand for this, because we've given you so much freedom. Now you're taking the biscuits. The Muslims are now taking the biscuits because Christians have given them so much freedom to express themselves. Unlike in Saudi Arabia, can a Christian go to Saudi Arabia and do what you are doing in Ghana here, which is a predominantly Muslim country? Can they do that? The answer is no. So why are you Muslims doing this? It's wrong. What is wrong is wrong. The Protect Our Ethos camp. This coalition, including the Anglican Church, Catholic Bishops' Conference, and Christian Council of Ghana, has rallied behind Wesley Girls. They see the case as an existential threat to the diversity of educational models that has served Ghana well. And I agree with this mindset. They employ the classic maxim, when you go to Rome, do what the Romans do. As one communicator bluntly stated, you saw your denomination school and you decided to join this one. So you do as the Romans do when you visit the Rome. Period. They warn of a slippery slope if Wesley Girls is forced to abandon its ethos. Every Catholic, Presbyterian, and Islamic mission school receiving government support will face similar challenges. And what's going to have? Confusion, pandemonium, because if everybody is throwing legal challenges to all these schools, and there are many of them in Ghana, which are assisted by the government, there's going to be a problem, leading to educational homogenization. The question is, do we want that? People choose mission schools for a certain purpose. They want their children to be brought up in the Christian way. People choose Islamic schools in Ghana because they want their children to be brought up in the Muslim way. When you do anything else, you are diluting the purpose, the reason for existing of the school. That is my take on it. The social media battleground. The controversy has ignited fierce debates online, with comments revealing deep divisions. And these divisions are dangerous. It could swell up to become something else if it's not checked. So this is what I want our Supreme Court judges to do. They should try to quell this fire, because the way things are going, if they try to force Wesley Girls to do things that are against their will, the will of the school and the will of Christians, it will lead to pandemonium in this country, because we are the majority and we shall revolt against it. Yempenshe. Nobody likes to be muzzled. So leave Christians alone and leave our Christian schools alone and stop this. Because we could also do the same to your Muslim schools in Ghana. Please. Shusho questioned, I've not heard of a Christian going to an Islamic school before, and I don't think Islamic schools are ready to accept Christian students not wearing hijabs. True. And this social media commentator is actually wrong. There are Christians who have gone to Islamic schools. Let's listen to Solomon Wusu, who is a communicator for the United Party Plus. This is the newest political party in Ghana. And I must say, I want to commend the communicators of United Party Plus. They are top-notch. Their contribution to the political discourse in Ghana is top-notch. And Solomon Owusu is one of those communicators. He's very, very good. And if you listen to how he explained why this Supreme Court case is unnecessary and can open a can of worms, you will understand and you will agree with me that he has spoken a lot of wisdom. Let's take a listen and watch this. Take a listen.
Wesley girls must insist. They can go to court and get their ruling. You go and meet the teachers there. What is this business? We are going to practice our religious faith. We must do, what is it? Your words are there to learn discipline. When they come back to their homes, you infuse your religion into them. Why is it that they are not even preaching about African religion? All this Western religion. They are not even talking about that. Look, the schools are what they are because there are certain principles. And not because you want to introduce to them new things to destroy the schools. Ever since you started all these business, some of the quality, the caliber of schools we had, the quality is even going down. We are not allowing the schools to implant in these walls the discipline that we used to know. The last time I went to my alma mater, I saw some boys keeping bushy hair. I said, this is not perfect college standard. You dare not put your hair go beyond a certain meter.
No, but Gen Zs have hair bushy.
They are on our various campuses using Mama was doing TikTok because of some of these things. Everything I know my right. Education minister, please, why you are going slippery? Allow the schools, the religious bodies to infuse the discipline. Wouldn't it be so nice that you are coming from an Islamic background? Then you go to a Christian school, you also introduce it opens your mind about the worldview of religion.
Yes.
So what is this business that go to TR Mass and go and see how Christians are praying every Friday? They know, look, Sylvester Boati, a typical Christian, he can recite all the Quran from head to toe. He went to TR Mass. Beautiful.
You go to a new environment,
beautiful,
a new culture.
Black Rasta, he went to TR Mass.
Which Black Rasta?
Your own Black Rasta. Kumasi TR Mass. Is it not Pan-Africanist? He can recite the Quran from head to toe. He led it there.
If I choose
the beauty of it, Islamic that is the school. And before you went there, Black Rasta, you knew that it's TR Mass. We are not doing Christian business there. And people have not had any issues with it. Hajia Halima, they went to Wesley Girls. Did you ever hear them complain about religious treatment on campus? They went through it beautifully.
They knew before they went.
They made friends. When you go to the school, the Muslims, the Christians, they are so happy. You parents, adults that you are out, instead of encouraging them to continue to be happy, you are here and then creating all sorts of problems. Are you in the
parents and the adults?
Did you hear that? This is wisdom speaking. This is wisdom speaking. Solomon Owusu of United Party Plus is a wise man, and he has spoken wisely. And I pray our Supreme Court judges take a notice of this and make the right decision. Let's not sink into an abyss, an unnecessary abyss on this case. It is not necessary. This case should be dismissed, in my opinion. Mavis Etriako argued there are Muslim-loving secondary schools all over Ghana. Did the students research before choosing Wesley Girls? This is what I've been talking about. Richard Amwate expressed frustration. Could we channel these emotions into asking for better infrastructure for schools? It seems we are more interested in the dress than a well-equipped science lab or IT lab. He's also got a point. Let's carry on. What's at stake beyond one school? The Supreme Court's decision will create a nationwide precedent affecting all faith-based schools. The outcome could force the Ghana Education Service to develop comprehensive guidelines on religious accommodation on all public assisted institutions. The constitutional stress test. Legal scholar Professor Stephen Kweku Asare argues this case represents a constitutional stress test for Ghana's democracy. The court must determine whether cooperation with religious schools has crossed into unconstitutional establishment of religion. Two competing visions of education. At its heart, this case presents two competing visions: rights-based education, prioritizing individual constitutional rights and inclusive citizenship, and two, ethos-based education, preserving distinctive institutional characters and educational diversity. Timeline, how we got here. This case started in 2021. Early skirmishes. Ghana Education Service directs schools to allow Muslim students to fast. Methodist Church rejects the directive, citing health. They've got a point. Then the case moves on to December 2024. Legal battle begins. Shafiq Osman files Supreme Court case. And then November 2025. Case accelerates. Supreme Court gives Wesley Girls School 14 days to respond. Anglican Church backs Methodist position. Democracy Hub allowed to join as amicus curiae, friend of the court. So that is that. The stakes. What each side could win or lose. Party. Muslim students. What's at stake? Right to religious expression in elite schools. Potential loss. Continued religious restrictions in mission schools. Wesley Girls. Institutional autonomy and Methodist identity. That's what's at stake. Potential loss, forced altercation of 180 years traditions. Mission schools, preservation of faith-based education model. That's what's at stake. Potential loss, homogenization of educational diversity. Ghanaian society, social cohesion and religious harmony. That's what's at stake. Potential loss, precedent for future religious conflicts. We are heading towards opening a can of worms if our Supreme Court entertains this, as I put it, frivolous case. This is a frivolous case. It's going to cause more harm than good, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. Current status, the battle continues. As of late November 2025, the Supreme Court has directed Wesley Girls to formally respond to the allegations within 14 days. The court has also granted Democracy Hub permission to join the case as amicus curiae, friend of the court, allowing them to provide additional legal arguments. The Attorney General has already filed a response supporting the school's position, ensuring this will be a fiercely contested constitutional duel. All parties now await the school's formal response, which will determine the next phase of this landmark case. Conclusion. More than a case, Ghana's crossroads. This isn't just about headscarves or prayer times. The Wesley Girls case represents a defining moment for Ghana, a nation grappling with how to honor its religious heritage while protecting its constitutional future. As the Supreme Court prepares to make its determination, the entire country watches, knowing the outcome will shape not only what happens behind the walls of one prestigious school, but the very fabric of Ghana's democracy. The verdict will answer the vital question. In the clash between cherished tradition and constitutional rights, which should give way, the drama continues to unfold with the eyes of a nation and potentially the future of religious pluralism in Ghana's education resting on the outcome. One thing is certain: when the Supreme Court finally rules, the repercussions will echo far beyond the courtroom, potentially reshaping the educational and religious landscape of Ghana for generations to come. Okay, the cross-continental comparison, a side-by-side look. Let's look at the legal basis. Saudi Arabia, the legal prohibition. Islamic Sharia law is the constitution. Non-Islamic worship is legally restricted. So you cannot go and express your religion in public, in school, in Saudi Arabia. That's a predominantly Muslim country. And in Ghana, a predominantly Christian country. We have the constitutional clash. The 1992 Constitution guarantees freedom of religion and equality. The question is that what really does freedom of religion and equality mean? And I guess it can mean many things. So we'll see what the Supreme Court judges come up with, because I feel that freedom of religion and equality is when you allow everybody to have their religious schools where they can send their wards and their children to. That is a level of freedom of religion and equality. And Christians can also have their schools where they can send their wards and children to. That is a form of religious freedom, in my opinion. Nature of restriction. In Saudi Arabia, is systemic and public. No churches in Saudi Arabia. No public expression of faith. No Bibles. A blanket ban on all non-Muslim public worship. In Ghana, predominantly Christian. Institutional and specific. Restrictions apply within a specified state-assisted mission school, not nationwide. Public discourse. Not a subject of open public debate or legal challenge within the country. The law is the law. In Saudi Arabia, you cannot challenge them. They are 100% Muslim. Whether you like it or not, that's how it goes. You toe the line, or it's their way or the highway. In Ghana, this is what I'm talking about: religious freedom. A vibrant, divisive, and very public national debate fought in courts and on social media. This is Ghana. We are free because we make room for everybody to practice their religion in peace. And we live together in harmony. Christians are living together in harmony with our Muslim brothers and sisters. So why try to rock the boat when the boat doesn't need rocking? Core conflict. State law versus fundamental rights of religious minority to exist publicly. It doesn't work in Saudi Arabia. The law is the law. You cannot come and challenge them. If Ghana was predominantly Muslim, do you think a Christian could bring this challenge to the Supreme Court It will never happen in a Muslim country. It will never happen in a Muslim country. So why are we entertaining it in a predominantly Christian country? In Ghana, institutional religious tradition versus individual constitutional rights. In terms of the comparison, the unanswered questions, the contrast is stark. In Saudi Arabia, the rules are unambiguous and rooted in the state's very identity. There is no legal ambiguity and no public courtroom drama. The restrictions are a matter of law and policy. Take it or leave it. It's 100% Islamic Muslim teachings at school. In Ghana, the drama is at its peak precisely because the answer is not clear. The Supreme Court is now tasked with an almost philosophical question. Can a school built on a rock of faith, now watered by National Treasury, force students to check their constitutional rights at the gate? The Wesley Girls case is more than a dispute over headscarves and fasting. It is Ghana's constitutional stress test. The verdict won't just affect one school, it will send a ripple through the nation, defining whether its promise of one nation can truly encompass the beautiful, complicated, and often conflicting tapestry of faith. The world is watching. Now, I actually looked for a list of Islamic senior high schools in Ghana, and this is what I got. Let me see how many schools there are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 on my list. Maybe there are more, but I've got 19 Islamic senior high schools in Ghana. Ahmadiyya Islamic SHS, Al-Azhar Islamic SHS, Kumasi, Al-Kulafwa Arashidun Islamic SHS, and Biraya SHS. Some of these are public schools funded by the government. Ejura Islamic SHS, Ghana Muslim Mission SHS, Ghana Lebanon Islamic School SHS, Islamic SHS Kumasi, Islamic SHS Wa, Jamiat Al-Hidayah Islamic Girls School, Nurul Amin Islamic SHS, Asewase, Sakafia Islamic SHS, Sadiq SHS, T.I. Ahmadiyya SHS, various locations, Tamale Islamic Science SHS, Tawheed SHS, Tijaniya SHS, Uthman bin Affan SHS, Uthmaniyya SHS. And most of them are public. That means they are funded by the government. Most of them. Let me count out of the 19 Islamic schools in Ghana. Let me see how many of them are public. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 out of the 19 schools, Islamic schools in Ghana, are public schools. That means they are funded by the government. So there you have it. According to the government, in Ghana, the Ghana government provides funding to many secondary schools, including those with a religious character. This support can include paying teacher salaries and providing infrastructure. This model is part of a long-standing partnership between the state and religious bodies to deliver education. Public versus private. As shown in the table of the Islamic schools, many Islamic schools are public SHS, which means they receive government funding. Others are clearly marked as private SHS, which operate without such state support. Partnership, not takeover. The government's funding is considered a partnership, as stated by the Christian bodies, a principle that also applies to Muslim schools. State support is a partnership, not a takeover. Did you hear that? State support is a partnership, not a takeover, and does not confer the right to redefine the core religious character of the school. This means that despite receiving public funds, these faith-based schools are entitled to maintain their religious identity and ethos. So there you have it. There you have it. Now I want us to listen to Education Minister Haruna Idrisu, what he had to say about the Wesley Girls situation in Parliament. Take a listen and watch this. When we come back, we'll talk about it. Take a listen and watch.
That there is some ongoing debate on restrictions on Muslim students in Wesley Girls, which conflicts with international human rights standards and even standard expected of us in Ghana's constitution and Article 33(5) and 26(1) of the constitution. And then to assure our colleagues that we have a duty to uphold the rights of every Ghanaian child and to uphold the rights of every Ghanaian citizen. No right is divisible, and that we will not counter any action by any person to deny any Ghanaian girl the opportunity to profess or practice any religion.
Did you hear that? I think that what the Education Minister Haruna Idrisu said can be considered to be inflammatory language. I don't think it was the best. He should have thought deeply about the matter before uttering any words on it. Because to me, it's an attack on Christianity. To say that you're going to enforce the minority's viewpoint on the majority of the people in Ghana. Ghana is a predominantly Christian country. We are not a Muslim country. So you can't come and put heavyweights and as they say in Chi, and befa in konya beshe yakom. Don't come and put any burdens on our necks, because we are predominantly a Christian nation. And if we decided to become radical like Saudi Arabia, Ghanaians are capable of, the majority of Ghanaians are capable of becoming radical like Saudi Arabia if we have to take back our country. Because the minority seems to be controlling the majority. This is a very dangerous state of affairs. Let me tell you something. You know, we have to be careful that the minority in Ghana don't become the takeover and make us stupid, the majority, Christians stupid, by bullying us and by using unbalanced skills. Now, I want us to listen to this article. I saw it I saw it on GhanaEducation.org. I want us to listen to this article written by a Muslim, and I think that will explain everything that I'm trying. Well, it will sort of summarize everything I'm trying to get across to you about the danger of this particular case, the Muslims versus Wesley Girls High School, that is taking place at the Supreme Court. If you listen to this narrative of this Muslim author, you will understand. And I would like to end this episode with this narrative. If you like this type of content, I would like you to like, share, subscribe, and certainly press that notification bell when you subscribe. And let's take a listen to the narrative. When we come back, we'll close. Take a listen and watch this. The article on Ghana Education News, which is ghanaeducation.org, it's an opinion, and it's actually written by Yusuf Ganiyu in Shola. And this is his opinion. And I think his opinion is pertinent to how I feel about the Muslims versus Wesley Girls Senior High School. And the reason why I'm passionate about this particular Wesley Girls issue is because my mother and my sister went to Wesley Girls. And what they've told me about the school are very positive things. And how it has helped them. It really helped my mom. My mom always tells me so many stories of how it built her to become who she became and who she has become. So the foundational teachings at Wesley Girls actually has a positive impact on the girls that attend that school. It is one of the best, if not the best, it's one of the best girls' schools in Ghana, essentially. Let's listen to this article. It is written by Yusuf Ganiyu in Shola. And it's an opinion, and it says, no Islamic school will entertain Christian values and doctrines in Ghana. Let's be honest about religious freedom in Islamic schools. So all these challenges, even the Muslims that are challenging, they will not allow Christians to do the same things in their school, but they are challenging this matter in court. What is the point? It's a pointless exercise. Let's listen. No Islamic school will entertain Christian values and doctrines in Ghana. Let's be honest about religious freedom in an Islamic school. As a Muslim, you want fairness, but you also want honesty. When we talk about religious freedom in an Islamic school, we must face the facts. No Islamic senior high school in Ghana will allow traditional worshippers or idol worshippers to set up a shrine on campus in the name of freedom of religion. That is the reality. The simple truth. Every school with a religious identity sets boundaries to protect its values. Islamic schools follow Islamic principles. They don't allow practices that contradict these principles. This is the same way mission schools protect their Christian identity. Using Islamic senior high as an example, ask yourself, can a traditionalist walk into Islamic senior high school and request a space for rituals? Can they set up a shrine, burn incense, or perform rites during school hours? Can they demand equal space because of freedom of worship? You know the answer. The school will not allow it. This is not hatred or discrimination. It is about the school's identity and the values it was built to uphold. Why this matters in the Wesley Girls debate. when we argue for accommodation for Muslim students, we must stay truthful. We can ask for reasonable space for prayer or fasting. We can push for fair treatment, but we should not pretend that schools with strong religious foundations don't have limits. Islamic schools too. Being honest strengthens our argument. It removes hypocrisy from the debate. The bigger point: the Constitution protects freedom of worship, but it also allows institutions to maintain their religious character. It's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. So as much as the Constitution protects religious freedom, it also allows institutions to maintain their religious character. That is key. The real reason should be about balance, not about pushing narratives that ignore the truth. If we want fairness for others, we must also apply the same standard to ourselves. Oyiwa. I agree with Yusuf Abdul Ganiyu in Shola. He has spoken wonderfully, perfectly. He has spoken beautifully, and he has said it all. Did you hear that? This Muslim author is making it clear that, in his opinion, this legal challenge is a facetious challenge because it's being dishonest, because the Muslims will not allow Christianity to be inculcated into their schools, into their Muslim schools. So he doesn't understand why Muslim ways should be inculcated into Christian schools. And he's right. I agree with him totally. Well done for that. Because we can't sit in a country where we are predominantly Christian and the minority, the Muslim minority, want to impose certain unfair terms and conditions on us. And we're going to sit there and accept it. No, Christians will not accept it. We are the majority. We don't accept it. And the Supreme Court judges better make the right decision if they want the peace and harmony we are enjoying in Ghana to be maintained. Because this is a very inflammatory case. It's a very inflammatory case. As I said, I'm a procurement expert. If you procure a product or service, and you know that the service you're procuring is a school that is a mission school, and you still choose it, even though your religion is not a Christian religion, then you know what you're getting yourself into. And if you don't like it, after you send your ward to the school or your child to the school, you don't like it, pull them out and take them to an Islamic school. And stop trying to impose your religion on a Christian school. If Christianity was the same as Islam, won't we be in the same school? Well, there'll be no need for a Christian mission school. We want to keep the peace in this country. We don't want anybody to come and impose on us how we should do things in our organizations. Wesley Girls is a Christian organization, like a church is a Christian organization. We also respect you. That's why no Christian is launching any case in court concerning trying to bring Christianity into Islamic schools. We understand that we are different and we are practicing different religions. Let's keep it like that and let's keep flowing. Everybody goes where they feel comfortable going. If you don't feel comfortable sending your word to Wesley Girls, you can't expect to come and enjoy all the pluses of Wesley Girls and do what you like. No. Go to another school and do that. And follow your Islamic thing in your Islamic school and let Wesley Girls be. Thank you so much for listening. And as I always say, Ghana first, always. Bye for now and see you in the next episode. Bye for now.